which one of the 5 issues mattered most on how you decided to vote? Here's what they said. Foreign policy, 4%. Abortion, 14%. Economy, 31%. Immigration, 11%. And state of democracy, 35%. That was interpreted last night because I remember we talked about that, and I said, well, wait, I'm concerned about the democracy. And I think that was interpreted by many people as, our democracy dies in darkness, all the stuff from the left. But for that to be that was the first answer for the people who voted. That was a mutual fear from both sides. Had to have been.
Yeah, I actually I was thinking about this after we were talking about it last night on the broadcast, because we were like, oh, well, they define democracy differently than we define democracy. And I was kind of, as a thought experiment, thinking, okay, well, what is their definition of democracy? What do they mean? Because they're not vague about it. And I think what they mean when they say democracy is they mean our institutions. And not institutions like marriage, not institutions, not even religious institutions. I mean institutions like the public school system, the universities, the public health apparatus, a lot of the agencies within the federal government, these big apparatuses or institutions that actually indoctrinate people and control people. That's what they mean when they say they fear for democracy. They fear that these institutions won't be controlling people and that people will be thinking for themselves. I have one comment about Trump's speech from last night, too. When he came onto that stage, it reminded me of when he was on Joe Rogan and he was talking about the first day that he was elected president. And he said, I went into the Lincoln bedroom and he's like, it was surreal. It was like, oh my goodness, I'm part of history. And it dwarfed Donald Trump, the man, compared to history for a moment. And I loved that he shared that with Joe Rogan. But I saw that, Glenn, on his face last night when he went out onto that stage and he talked about being the 47th president of the United States. I thought, oh my goodness, he's having a surreal moment where the historical enormity of what he is experiencing is bigger than he is as a man. And I mean, I was moved.
Yeah, I think he has changed. I talked to Laura Trump today about it. He changed after the assassination, but you can't go through what he has gone through in the last 8 years, but even in the last year, and not understand that this is changing the course of the world. His next 4 years, and hopefully we have 8 or 12 with J.D. Vance to follow him. This is the last great hope of the Western world. If he can stop things like the Paris Accords and what that actually means with the banking and everything else, he has the opportunity to save the entire West and save freedom. He is now the only one in a leadership role like that. And you can't be in his position, I think, and not feel that way. Stu?
Yeah, I think that's true. And, it's an important thing. We've now kind of had a change, and it's sending a massive message, not only to the American people, but the world. And to back up a little bit on your point on democracy being the top thing that people voted on, this is something that I think is a real message when you go to baseline politics of a moment. You don't run a campaign based on some esoteric concept like democracy when it's, you're trying to make it a thing. When you're running a campaign, you're supposed to go to the people and meet the people where they are. They're the ones paying these extra prices on their interest rates and food and all of the things they've been struggling with all this time. They're dealing with crime. They're dealing with people coming across the border. Those are things that really hit people. Democracy is this, what they tried to make that into, and this ties into, Trump as Hitler. All of this fired up their base. All of this got lots of views on MSNBC.com. All of this was, hyped up their social media feeds. But that's not why people were voting. People all realized democracy was real. They were literally going to the polls to talk about it and to vote based on it. They were using the elements of our democracy inside of our constitutional republic in that way. So it's just such a fascinating thing. And I think it's something, hopefully, the Democrats don't learn after this. This is hopefully a lesson they don't get. You don't win when you run on something like that.
But But I don't understand, because it is connected. That is the number one response from the people who voted. Which one of these 5 issues mattered most on deciding how you vote? State of democracy was 35. Economy, shockingly, was 31. I think that is both sides saying our country is at the end. Whether you believe it's because of Trump or because of, the WEF and socialism, it doesn't matter. There is a consensus in America that our country, our republic, or as they say, our democracy, is on the ropes. I find that fascinating, that many people have woken up and feel it, that over the economy, that's the number one thing. Jill?
Yeah, and if I had more than 3 hours of sleep, I would remember who said this. So I can't credit the person, unfortunately. But they said that if Trump won, the number of people on the left that would go in and actually have mental health issues because Donald Trump won. And that's what we're going to be seeing now. They are going to be unhinged, because this is still what the MSNBCs of the world are going to be feeding them, where, you can't just take this as unity and he's fine and everything will be okay, you guys. No, they are going to be feeding the terrible rhetoric we heard in that opening montage where Elon Musk, he's that pusher of misinformation. How dare he go out and spend $44 billion so that people can actually say what they want to say. But in this world, they have to have all of the control over the narrative, and that is the thing that we will continue to see beyond this election from the left.
Unfortunately, I find that true, and I know that there's a progressive pact that just sent out a note to progressives that said tonight, gather together with family and friends to grieve. Okay, well, maybe that's something that, we would have been bummed, come together. But the message should be, from both sides now, come together. That's what it used to be. Come together, not to grieve, but to build America again. And I don't know when. We're going to get into this essay that Brian Stelter wrote a little later on in the program, but they still have, they are not going to let go of we're the fascist, we're the Nazis, everything else. No, we believe in something different than you do. We believe in the founding documents, the way they were written. Until the media does some self-examination, I don't know if we're going to be able to heal, even though, here's what Trump said last night. Cut 1, please.
Frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance, because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
It's funny. Usually he uses a lot of hyperbole. I think he's exactly right. They had obstacles we never thought we'd ever be able to overcome.